Subscribe the Unique Academy's YouTube channel and press the bell icon for latest updates and videos.
Sorry, take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
This is your fifth attempt,
Yes, sir.
and you're presently working in foreign trade.
Yes, sir.
You've been there since 2017.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what does your job presently entail?
Sir, I'm posted as Assistant Director General of Foreign Trade in the Joint DGFT office, Pune,
Okay,
and the job entails the implementation of foreign trade policy.
foreign trade policy.
Yes, sir.
As conducted out of this region, or is there anything larger that is involved in it?
Sir, so this office has jurisdiction over 15 districts of Maharashtra.
Okay,
So we implement.
they're all in Western Maharashtra.
Sorry, sir.
They're all in Western Maharashtra.
Some largely, yes, sir.
Okay. So, what's the quantum of trade that we are talking about over here?
Sir, Pune 15 districts. Sir, unfortunately, we do not have district-wise data for exports.
No, that's all right. But
Okay.
the overall thing that we would be talking about.
India in general, sir.
No, from this region that you're talking about.
Sir, that's what, sir. We do not have district-wise data. Recently, government introduced a mechanism where districts would be mentioned on shipping bills. So going forward, we'll have that data, sir.
Okay. That's surprising.
Yes.
The Pune office has been working since
Sir, since 1993, sir.
1993.
Yes, sir.
It's almost 30 years.
Yes, sir.
And 30 years and they don't have data.
Sir, we have ICs, like how many ICs are there. But unfortunately, so far we did not have any mechanism of us like verifying where the material is going from. So we have port-wise data. So whenever we extrapolate in a way that we presume that most of the exports that are going from Pune that are going through the JNPT port. So that's how we make public policy interventions.
This also mentions that you have some sort of an academic background in foreign trade.
So, sir, that was the part of our training. We had a professional course in Indian Institute of Foreign Trade in New Delhi, sir.
Okay. And you have done your MBA before that or after that?
Sir, I completed the first year. Before that, sir.
Before. Okay. So, how does one explain? Your father is involved in he's self-employed.
Yes, sir.
So, I presume it's a business.
Yes, sir.
And what sort of business are we talking about?
So, sir, my younger brother, he started an export-oriented business of semi-precious stones around 5 years back. So, my father joined him and he's engaged in that activity, sir.
Okay. So, this is export.
Yes, sir.
And what are the semi-precious stones we are talking about?
Sir, I do not know the much technical details, but there are semi-precious stones like ruby, cabochons. I do not have much of the technical.
They are sourced in India or they are sourced from outside India?
So, sir, they are sourced both from India and outside. And Jaipur is an hub where they are processed. There are a lot of skilled labor who process them. So my brother, he takes orders from mostly Europe and US and then get them processed in Jaipur and then exports them to Dolly.
Wonderful. There has been some sort of problem as far as India's foreign trade is concerned.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And you just focus on that before we focus on anything else. So, we are essentially talking of a trade which is very low as far as volumes are concerned.
Right.
For a country as big as India.
Right.
Even in terms of value,
Yes, sir.
there isn't much that one is talking about.
Right, sir.
Most of the time, we are actually importing more as compared to exporting.
Right, sir.
So, and there has been a consistent push which has been given in the past couple of years that we have got to improve on this.
Right, sir.
In addition to whatever has been done as of now, as someone who has been an insider for quite some period of time,
Yes, sir.
how would you look at the problems as far as sector faces in terms of what needs to be done? So whatever needs to be done, there is one set of proposals which is already on the table.
Yes, sir.
But in addition to it, as someone who has been watching over this for quite some period of time, both at the end of your family as well as part of your own career.
Yes, sir.
So is there something that now needs to be done which is not being done, not being thought about as of now?
Sir, there are a couple of proposals. Like, for example, sir, this economic survey, it mentioned that instead of trying to just move from, as you mentioned, sir, highly importing country to a country which manufactures for exports, we should have a phased strategy. So, for example, sir, we can now firstly move from importing to assembling in India for India. So we can have products, for example, so recently Samsung set up a plant in Noida. So firstly, our aim should be to value add as little as possible, but assemble in India so that employment and prosperity generates in our country. Then the second phase is when we may, assemble for the world, larger world. So we integrate ourselves in global value chains as China did in last 30 years. And then finally see where we have comparative advantage. And then in those sectors, we can actually have make in India entirely. It's not feasible, sir, in a globalized economy to have everything manufacturing in India from raw material to end product. But yes, there are certain sectors where we have a comparative advantage. We can capitalize on those sectors, sir.
Right.
So, for example, sir, now manufacturing is getting highly service oriented. So, for example, sir, now car manufacturing companies, they have as big manufacturing department, as big service departments as they used to have the manufacturing department. The technologies like 3D technology, robotics, machine learning, they are integral part of every manufacturing process. And we have traditionally been an IT superpower. So we can have those sectors and we can target that more and more services are exported from India. And as I mentioned, sir,
Said we are an IT superpower. I think it on the face of it. We are an IT superpower when it comes to execution or when it comes to conceptualization.
Sir, mostly as you mentioned, sir, we are highly now, our IT services are highly constituent of the execution part. And most of the R&D conceptualization that happens, unfortunately, in USA, not in our country. But at least we have certain base where we can build on.
Quite a big thing. It's like one is talking about something that would happen for a very long period of time.
Yes, sir.
Rajasthan was highly, at least in the first phase or the first lockdown,
Yes, sir.
appreciated for the way in which it was handling the entire coronavirus problem.
Right, sir.
And then it just slipped. It just slipped out of the ground.
Yes, sir.
Jaipur, where you come from? You're located in Jaipur, am I right?
Yes, sir.
We are talking about Vidyanagar.
Yes, sir.
What? This is in the old city or the new city?
Sir, it is the newer city, sir,
New
not
city.
the old city. Yes, sir.
No. So, what went wrong? Why is Rajasthan no longer being talked about as a pioneer state when it comes to tackling corona?
Sir, the first lockdown, sir, it was very strict and the movement of people was restricted. So, and the government there, they made some early interventions like Bhilwara model is talked about. But later, sir, when the migrant movement started happening, so there are a lot of migrants who go to states like Gujarat and Surat. They came to regions like Udaipur and Chittorgarh, those regions. So that movement, government could not control as efficiently as we would expect.
So we have more incidences in those districts now?
Sir, we have more, like, I mean, if we compare district-wise, then Jaipur is the highest one. Then the Jodhpur is there. And then, as I mentioned, these regions, Udaipur, Chittorgarh, these are highly...
So despite the fact that they received a large number of migrant workers,
Yes, sir.
they're not the highest one. The highest one actually is Jaipur.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But are you satisfied with the way in which the Rajasthan government is handling the entire crisis?
Sir, if we see comparatively, I think it has done better than many other states. And
Do you have any idea about what is the fatality rate as far as Rajasthan is concerned?
sir, I know about the recovery rate. It's more than 75%. And
Quite
that,
remarkable.
yes, sir.
But Rajasthan has a problem. If you remember this hospital tragedy that had happened last year, if I'm not wrong, it does have a problem as far as public health is concerned.
Right, sir.
Any remarkable experiments which have been done in the state
Yes, sir.
that you think can be scaled up at the level of delivery of public health?
Yes, sir. So, sir, one public policy intervention which Rajasthan got national applaud for was the free delivery of medicines. It exists in many ways in other districts as well, but the implementation was near perfect in Rajasthan. The beneficiaries, their survey was done, social survey was done, and more than 90% people were satisfied with the kind of services were provided. So that is one scheme which I think can be scaled up, and the implementation.
Delivery of free medicine.
Yes, sir.
And anything else that comes to mind?
Sir, Rajasthan is well known for the prosthetics. Jaipur foot is now exported world over, and it is people who have amputated legs and amputated hands, they avail that cheaper version of prosthetic in Rajasthan.
As of now, the state is under lockdown, or the lockdown has been eased?
Sir, it's a lockdown, but sir, conceptually, it's a lockdown state, and there are a lot of restrictions like night movement and all. But mostly the movement, the business organizations, they have opened up now, sir.
They have opened up. They've been
Yes,
allowed
sir.
to open up.
Yes, sir.
Gems and jewelry,
Yes,
sort
sir.
of thing that the family sort of is excelling in for quite some period of time.
Yes, sir.
In the Indian context, it's normally believed to be a very low-skilled activity.
Right, sir.
So most of the time, what's happening in our cases, we are sourcing precious stones, semi-precious stones from all across the world,
Right, sir.
both in India as well as outside India. We are just processing it,
Yes,
and
sir.
then we are sending it out.
Right, sir.
Setting it in pieces of jewelry,
Right, sir.
fashioning pieces of jewelry
Yes, sir.
is not what is happening in India.
Right, sir.
And that is somehow or the other felt to be one of the reasons why most of the time this sector doesn't make the sort of money which it otherwise should have.
Right, sir.
Is there anything that the Rajasthan government, since Rajasthan happens to be after Gujarat, the second most important hub when it comes to processing of stones,
Right, sir.
does the Rajasthan government have any plan to change the state of affairs?
Sir, I'm not aware of the particular, but I can tell a broad scheme that they did. So they have now a Mahindra SEZ, which has a dedicated section for the gems and jewelry sector.
In Jaipur.
Yes, sir. Now they are trying to create public infrastructure in terms of labs, certifications, and as you mentioned, sir, R&D for this sector, so that the small-scale businessmen, they can avail of these public infrastructure and do exports. Yes, sir.
The other big thing that, in a very broad context,
Yes, sir.
has been deeply problematized and has been deeply discussed both outside India as well as within India in a certain sector. These are problems which are associated with environment and ecology,
Yes, sir.
especially when it comes to mining in Rajasthan.
Right, sir.
And that's the reason why I said it's in rather broader context.
Right, sir.
So there have been Supreme Court orders as far as the mining in the Aravalli region is concerned.
Right, sir.
There has been a great concern in terms of practically all aspects of the ecology.
Right, sir.
So, is there anything on the horizon that says that, well, there can be sustainable mining which can be done?
Sir, mining, as you mentioned, sir, it's been highly, there are laws and regulations, but the implementation part has been poor. Recently, sir, Supreme Court banned the sand mining from Rajasthan. Sir, I'm not aware of the particular step that the government has taken. I'll read upon him.
It's all right. It's all right. It's perfectly all right. We didn't worry about it. In recent times, especially since Donald Trump became the president of the United States,
Right, sir.
a term which we have been using in international trade is what is called as weaponizing of trade.
Right, sir.
You may idea about what does this exactly mean?
Sir, it means different things in different contexts, sir. So, for example, a country can be very blunt and in its approach and put high tariffs on other country, and or maybe just restrict the trade from other country for a particular product. So that is one aspect of it. Secondly, sir, there are mechanisms in WTO, for example, anti-dumping duty, safeguard duty, countervailing duty. A country can initiate investigations and then put these duties, which will be perfectly all right in terms of WTO compliance, but are not trade friendly in general. So there are different degree of response that a country can use. And as you mentioned, sir, trade has been now used as a tool of defense and diplomacy and building pressures on the other countries. Sir.
So it's in that context that we are talking about it.
Yes, sir.
In the present problem
Yes.
that we have been facing vis-a-vis the Chinese,
Right, sir.
one thing which has been right at the center of things now is what is called as trade between India and China.
Right, sir.
Okay, it's a trade which is marked by a significant amount of disparity.
Right, sir.
It's a trade which is marked by a significant amount of sense of cheat as far as Indians are concerned.
Right, sir.
That we seem to have been cheated, and we have been cheated for quite some period of time.
Right, sir.
To a point where people have been pointing out that possibly there is some sort of a very nefarious design which has been involved in all of this.
Right, sir.
And the Chinese have tried to keep us down.
Right, sir.
In your estimate, how soon or how deep in time would this entire thing stretch on, whereby we would get even with the Chinese? So if India decides that yes, as of now we have a $58 billion deficit with China,
Right, sir.
and India decides that we need to be doing something urgently
Right, sir.
to get back at them. Okay. So one way of reducing the deficit is to cut down on imports from China.
Yes, sir.
So we can rapidly cut down on those imports from China.
Right, sir.
We can almost bring down the deficit.
Yeah, right, sir.
So how soon do you think can this happen?
Sir, let me broaden this. And so, sir, there's an experiment in biology where if we take a hot boiling water in a pot and we put a frog into it, the reflexes of the frog kicks in and it jumps out and the life is saved. But if we take a room temperature water and then put the frog in it and start boiling it gradually, then the reflexes of the frog does not kick in and he eventually dies because of the temperature. That is what, sir, the Chinese strategy looks like vis-a-vis its neighbor and us. Trade is a big part of it. As you mentioned, sir, they have designed their trade policies in a way that they get undue access in market access in our country, but our companies, for example, the IT and generic medicines, where we have comparative advantage and have been exporting even to OECD countries, there we cannot export. That is because they have created such non-tariff barriers for us. Now, whether we can surpass them or we cannot, so I think it depends on what we do internally with the reforms. So, for example, sir, ease of doing business, which is talked about a lot in our country, that needs to be set right. There are a lot of reforms that have been pending in export sector for a long time. They need to be setting so that our foreign trade policy, which is now incentive based, like we subsidize our export. So that philosophy that needs to move on from facilitating trade through logistics, through world-class infrastructure, world-class labs where our exports can get certified. That's the philosophical change that needs to be taken on in country. And I think, sir, it has to do with politics. I mean, our leaders, they need to project that vision and remove the crutches from our industry and ask them to compete, make world-class products and compete. Then only, sir, I think.
Obviously, one of the most important things is you can't make world-class products for the world market by making substandard products for the Indian market.
Exactly, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
So you'll also have to start working on that. Unless you don't make world-class products for the Indian market,
Right,
imagine that you can make world-class products for the world market as well.
Yes, sir.
The WTO is completely broke.
Yes, sir.
You agree or disagree?
Sir, it's been effectively, and now COVID has broken whatever legs were there now, sir.
So, how should now this entire thing be put back into place? It's like almost 30 years of building an institution which now lay completely destroyed.
Yes, sir.
So, is there a way out of it, or the state of things as they now are prevail?
Sir, I think India as a country, sir, I think we have benefited because of WTO, because it put in a multilateral trade system which was respected throughout the world. And last 30 years, sir, though there is scope for improvement, we have gained on our exports. So we should be pushing for WTO's
No, I'm not worried about what should we be doing with it.
Yes, sir.
What should the world be doing with it?
So, sir, I think
It's
mostly
like everybody's baby, which is now almost comatose.
Sir, there is a muhavra, sir, in North India ki jiski lathi uski bhains, sir. So the what international law has become that, sir. I mean, USA it feels that WTO is unfair to us. Its own trade, so it will
The same time, sort of, it was also an organization which had 193 other countries.
right, sir.
It's yet funny that 193 other countries are not able to marshal up the necessary resources
Yes, sir.
to put this organization back on track.
Yes, sir.
You're just letting one country go away with whatever it has been doing.
Yes, sir.
It's amazing. So much for institution building.
That's unfortunate, sir. I mean, and I do not know the intricacies of how things operate in WTO. But so far as I know, sir, the USA has been blocking appointments. For example, in the appellate authority now of WTO, it does not have minimum quorum required for entertaining appeals. So that mechanism has effectively been dying for quite some time. So there are other ways also, like for example, stopping funding of WTO, taking unilateral measures in terms of trade and not respecting WTO norms that have been put in place. So
It's a disastrous state of disastrous, absolutely disastrous.
But also, sir, I think it's been true of international law that only international law exists and sustains itself only when the big powers, the elites of the world affairs, they put in their weight behind it. Now, sir, USA, China is trying to gain undue advantage through the international law. USA, after Mr. Donald Trump became president, has been putting America first policy. So once the big powers they retract from these international law institutions, then I think there's very little that small powers can do on their own, sir.
You mentioned you're interested in reading biographies of civil servants.
Yes, sir.
The oldest one which you have read, in the sense that this is a biography of someone who, technically speaking, was a very old civil servant, someone who belonged to a very earlier era.
Sir, I read a biography by Natwar Singh, sir. He was an Indian Foreign Service officer. And sir, in general, sir, I'm also interested in public figures biographies, and I read Discovery of India by Jawaharlal Nehru, the books by Ambedkar, and
The latest one which you have read,
so latest one, sir. Sir, I read the biography, sir. So biography I read, sir, Mr. Shyam Saran's book, How India Sees the World, sir. He was the ex-foreign secretary on foreign policy.
anything that you came across in that which will help us to handle the present China thing?
Sir, he mentions it very clearly that China respects only strength. It does not respect anything else. And if we get taken away by the what they call it's a symbolism of it, of the informal summits like Mahabalipuram summit or Wuhan summit, it will be to our disadvantage. He advocates that we should be very hawkish when it comes to China, and I think that's the realization we are coming to now after the Doklam incident, sir.
Saurabh, how can we make sense of whatever is China doing with India, especially in connection with whatever recently happened?
Sir, as I mentioned, that experiment, sir, it looks like that they don't want to give any one big blow which will make us hit them back. They want to use these small incidents, and that's been their strategy, not just with India, but in South China Sea as well. And they are marshalling all the resources that they can, sir. So, for example, sir, in international.
So can we say that it is a design, it is a Chinese design?
Yes, sir.
They go on applying everywhere.
Yes, sir. So internationally, they claim that they are working for an Asian century, but it looks like that they are working for a Chinese century where China is the middle kingdom and everyone else is peripheral to it.
Now, do you think of something which is very, very specific to India-China relationship?
Sorry, sir.
Now, is there anything which is related only to India and China, nothing else, bilateral in nature.
Sir, one is the territorial design of China.
Okay.
So, sir, they want to assert their claims now that asymmetry between India and China has grown in last 30 years. They want to assert their claims on the Ladakh region as well as in Arunachal Pradesh. Recently, we have had, like in last 10 years, we've had so many informal summits, and despite that, we have seen that every time there is hope, there is again some or the other Chinese intervention. And as sir was mentioning, sir, their design of trade is designed in a way that it benefits them more than it does benefit
Now,
us.
would it be appropriate, or to what extent it would be appropriate to say that this response, that is response from China, has to do with something called as whatever we did with Article 370?
Sir, I think it can be part of it, but I don't think it is the sole reason behind it, sir.
It is not the sole reason.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you look at South Asia,
Yes, sir.
there is no doubt that in the last around 20 years,
Yes, sir.
even more than that,
Yes, sir.
China has been a factor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. India on one hand, and possibly every South Asian nation state on the other hand.
Yes, sir.
So China has been a factor.
Yes, sir.
Let us keep aside that factor. How do you assess India's relationship with South Asia in last 10 years?
Sir, there is I think our proclamations are high, but our execution lags.
Okay.
So that is why, sir, I mean, every small power, they feel that by being close to China, they stand to gain more. So, for example, sir, recently China gave 97% of Bangladeshi exports custom-free access. So, it obviously they stand to gain more. We have faulted on our infrastructure commitments in the region. So that is why I think it has to do with us only, that China has been gaining ground in the region, and we need to shore up our capacity, sir, in terms of economic empowerment of the neighbors that we.
Okay, so it has to do with the capacity,
Yes,
the
sir.
Indian capacity.
Yes, sir.
And what is the progress? What has been the progress as far as SAFTA is concerned?
Sir, SAFTA, it was signed in 2004, if I'm not mistaken, sir. And but sir, since then it has not yielded any significant gains. The trade within the South Asian region has been restricted for many reasons, sir. For example, in last year we dismissed the most favored nation status of Pakistan, and now the trade between India and Pakistan is effectively died. Nepal is looking for alternatives vis-a-vis India through China. Bangladesh is now more oriented towards world and China. So SAFTA has not delivered as much as one hoped when it was signed, sir.
Okay. In one of your answers,
Yes, sir.
you did refer to politics.
Yes, sir.
Let us use the word state also. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The role of state, the role of politics becomes very, very crucial
Yes, sir.
when it comes to trade and the related things.
Yes, sir.
Now, Chinese could do that because they have got a political system
Right,
with
sir.
the state. Okay.
Right, sir.
When you look at the Indian story,
Yes,
roughly from 91,
Yes, sir.
now what sort of problems do you see as far as the nature of Indian politics is concerned? 91 onwards. Look, these are the problems.
Sir, if we compare with political system of China, so obviously, sir, the kind of unity, the kind of efficiency and effectiveness that exists in their system does not exist in our, because we are a democracy, and there are so many balancing acts that our politics has to do. Sir, before these last two general elections, we have had coalition governments. So obviously, consensus building becomes much more difficult in these kind of political setup. That has been a drag on our economic growth. And apart from that, sir, many of the scams that came out, sir, for example, coal scam, 2G scam, Commonwealth Games scam. So they they took away the legitimacy of from our political system to carry out big reforms, which can be only done when country feels that politics is credible. So I think these two are the big issues. Sir.
Okay, as you mentioned, 2014 onwards, even though there is formally a coalition government in place,
Yes, sir.
but we have one party with clear majority.
Right, sir.
But do you see any visible change?
Sir, I think the big reforms that were pending for a long time, for example, implementation of GST, the implementation of insolvency and bankruptcy code, they have been done. And demonetization, sir, was a big step which was done to weed out corruption, weed out informalization of our economy. So that was, I think, only possible because, as you mentioned, sir, there was a single party in power and it could take decisions on its own, sir.
Okay, so it has definitely played a part.
Yes, sir.
Once again, getting back to earlier issue,
Yes, sir.
that is American position,
Yes, sir.
US position as far as WTO is concerned, about
Yes.
WTO. Can we differentiate between USA as a power, USA as a state on one hand,
Yes, sir.
and the present administration on the other hand? That is the Trump administration.
Yes, sir.
Let me make it further simple. If in case in the coming elections,
Yes, sir.
okay, the administration is replaced by
Yes, sir.
the other party,
Right, sir.
then how would America respond to WTO?
Sir, see, the anti-globalization sentiment in America is widely spread. Even when we see the political campaigns of Mr. Joe Biden, even he is sounding anti-China, anti-trade in many ways. But obviously, the degree of anti-trade, anti-globalization response that will come down definitely, sir.
Okay, fine.
So I see you have worked in a couple of private enterprises.
Right, sir.
I would like to know more about it in terms of what was your experience, what did you learn about that? How do you intend to apply your current job or the next services that you will be selected for?
Yes, sir. Sir, I worked in Lafarge, India as a mechanical engineer, and I was handling the cement mill section and was engaged in maintenance of it. So one good thing I learned there, sir, was working with SOPs, standard operating procedures. So Lafarge is a big organization, and but it has made a mechanism of SOPs, and it works only through that mechanism across the world, so that there is a uniformity in the kind of product that it delivers, the kind of floor management that goes on in the plant. So that is one thing I learned, sir. In Deloitte, sir, I learned the implementation of enterprise resource planning, ERP systems. And I have partly implemented in my present working office, sir, as well. So there's been two of the my big.
What exactly was your job in Deloitte?
So I was a management trainee there. I worked there after the first year of my MBA, and my work there was implementation of ERP system for a company that Deloitte was working for as a consultant.
It was a company.
Sir, I forgot the name, sir.
Okay. And you have implemented a similar ERP system in your
Sir, ERP is a big thing, sir. I do not have the authority or the knowledge to implement, but partly, yes, sir. Yes, some part of it. So if you allow, sir, I can.
Yes, go ahead.
So, sir, there in Pune office we have physical file system, sir. So there were 1.1 lakh files which were in physical form in our record room, and they were all arranged in a very messy way. So it was very cumbersome process to retrieve a file. So I hired a company and we created a system of barcoding the files. So we barcoded the 1.1 lakh files and created a digital directory of it and assigned them particular box numbers and put them into those particular box numbers. Now, whenever we need to retrieve a file, we just have to put the barcode number in the digital directory and we get the exact location of the file. So that was one part that I implemented.
So do you think these minor things do matter, or is just if we suppose they were right, the framework was in place, this wouldn't be needed?
Sir, I think, sir, it's very important because if that one company defaults, then it destroys the entire credibility of our exporting communities, importing communities. So they need to be taken care of. And there exists an institutional mechanism, as I mentioned, sir. So the companies have to approach the Indian embassies in their domestic country. They forward it to DGFT regional offices, and then we take action.
Reverse problem.
Yes, sir.
Yes. One of your exporters.
Yes, sir.
This is a similar problem in other countries.
Yes, sir.
So how do you approach about it?
So that mechanism is very weak, sir, comparatively. So in that case, the reverse thing goes, sir. The Indian business person here approaches us. We forward the issue to the respective Indian embassy or high commission in the country. Then they approach the counterpart of DGFT in that country. But thing is, sir, that we do not have jurisdiction on those in those countries. So whatever they decide to do, we have to depend on that, sir. So there are many such cases that come, sir, but unfortunately they are not addressed as well as the reverse one are addressed, sir.
If I ask you to tell me the two positives that we might we can sort of look up for out of this current crisis, the current pandemic situation.
Sir,
Two positives.
okay, sir. So one thing is that it has that given us that reflexive shock that I mentioned, sir, that we need to be self-reliant in terms of critical sectors, for example, healthcare, medicines, and all. Secondly, sir, it has made us, it has reinvigorated our urban local bodies, sir. So they have worked in these last 3-4 months. They have worked tirelessly, and many of the new innovations that happened, sir, I think they will change the urban governance model that we have in our country. And sir, one small positive was that Namaste became a global phenomena, and instead of handshake. So that was also one positive.
People all over the world are saying
Yes,
about
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
दी युनिक अकॅडमीचे नवनवीन व्हिडिओज आणि अपडेट्स मिळवण्यासाठी लाईक करा, सबस्क्राईब करा आणि शेअर करा.